So yesterday there was a big surprise. Now, I know a lot of us are burnt out by electoral politics, but in regards to the realm of X, formerly known as Twitter, but I call it Phoenix because that way you still have the X, you still have the bird. You think about the merchandising instead of the blue bird, it would be a fire red Phoenix bird. But anyways, put me in the game, coach. I'm ready. I'm ready for advertisement. Mad Men, step over, step aside, whatever. Point is, folks, Elon Musk interviewed Donald Trump. He came back on X, and CNN and corporate media and the EU are upset. They are furious. The European Union, corporate media, all of them across the board, furious, angry, enraged. So I think it's only fair that we see the outrage before we pull up some of the highlights of the Trump Elon Musk interview. So let's go ahead and start off with CNN because they got easily triggered. They got offended. And when people get offended, I laugh at them.
Donald Trump finding a new ally this election, billionaire Elon Musk. The two men are set to appear on the platform formerly known as Twitter, now X, later tonight for what Musk is promising will be a, quote, unscripted and no limits conversation. Trump is now getting used to the fact that Musk endorsed him shortly after the assassination attempt, even though he's been critical of SpaceX and the Tesla CEO in the past.
Oh, listen. If you're not paying attention, I mean, come on. Trump will praise somebody if they say good things about him. He'll make fun of them. I mean, this is what Trump's been doing for a long time. I mean, for Christ's sake, I'm going to be 40 years old next year. Okay? I'm going to be 40 years old. And here's what I know. What all of you should know. Donald Trump's actions should not surprise anyone. He's been doing this long before the internet ever became a thing, but yet corporate media thinks its audience is stupid. Now, to be clear here, most of corporate media, it's only on playing at airports. No one's paying attention at that at the airports, playing in nursing homes. And let's face it, that's torture to those old people. Why would you do that? Or they're being played in prisons, which could also be viewed as torture.
And I'm for electric cars. I have to be, because Elon endorsed me very strongly, Elon. So I have no choice.
Musk's rise as a Trump backer comes as X has turned into a haven for the spread of misinformation. Since buying the site almost 2 years ago, Musk's site has struggled to control it on topics ranging from the election to the assassination attempt against Trump. Sometimes the bad information has been boosted by Musk himself, who posted a conspiracy regarding the attack on Paul Pelosi in October of 2022 before deleting it.
But see, that was kind of funny, though. That was kind of funny because it had involved Nancy Pelosi, and let's face it, her and her husband are doing insider trading, and that's not fake news, CNN. And CNN, before you start saying X is a haven of misinformation, weren't you guys saying that Hunter Biden laptop story wasn't real? Weren't you guys promoting Russiagate? Weren't you guys promoting a long, long time ago that led us into the devastating war in Iraq? Weapons of mass destruction. And turns out CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, New York Times, Fox News, none of them ever pushed back at the Bush-Cheney administration, leading us and this country into forever wars that is bankrupting us. But it's okay, CNN. I guess you like living in a glass house and you don't mind it when someone throws stones at it and it starts dropping all over you. But maybe CNN likes it. But don't worry. Hey, see, if you're on X and I'm on X, and let's face it, Twitter, X, Phoenix can be a cesspool, but you know what? It's our cesspool.
Expect out of this conversation that we're going to see tonight on Twitter?
Well, for one, I think it's going to be a very lighthearted conversation because Elon Musk has come out and endorsed Donald Trump. I expect this to be like a bromance type of an interview where they're supporting each other. I think that Elon Musk will let Donald Trump speak all of the falsehoods and misinformation.
By the way, shout out to Gray Walker, joined third party. I hate censorship more than I dislike Trump or Musk. And you know what? I despise it too. Look, I'm not a fan of Elon Musk or Trump and you know what? I have my opinions, but at least you know what? I can say this. I despise censorship the most. That's what I hate the most. And unfortunately, we live in a day and age where people are okay with censoring people. And trust me, Anna, folks, I got a story about censorship. It's not in the show notes, but you need to hear it.
That he wants. I mean, he's not a journalist. It's not his job necessarily. Does he want to be fact checking all of the information? So I think it's just a platform for Donald Trump to come out and say whatever he wants. But the thing to remember, Cassie, is like interview audience here is what Donald Trump needs. You see JD Vance going on Face the Nation, right? Sunday shows, traditional media, because he needs to get his name out there. Donald Trump's going the opposite route, right? He's talking to streamers and podcasters. He's going on X. He wants to rally up that sort of fringe online base. That's what Donald Trump is doing here tonight.
Well, he's meanwhile threatening to sue establishment media like the New York Times, et cetera. Sarah Fisher for us.
You know what? Go ahead, Donald Trump. Sue the New York Times. No one cares. But yet, we're called the fringe. Now, I use X and Twitter. I follow all the hits on social media. And let's face it, you do too, CNN. And all your fantastic journalists, talent, use it as well. So, it's like a drug. You're addicted to it. But hold on. Turns out the EU threatens Musk over Trump interview. In response, the billionaire told the EU commissioner, Terry Britton, to F your own face, which is funny to me. So European Commissioner Terry Britton, I don't know, maybe that's how you say his name. I'm going to call him douchebag, has ordered ex-owner Elon Musk to step up censorship of harmful content, censorship. Now, look, there is censorship on X. There's a lot of great journalists and independent commentators on the left and on the right that have been censored on X. So meet the new boss, same as the old boss. There's a lot of criticisms about how Elon Musk has been running X. And to be clear here, I remember us talking about this not too long ago. Probably nothing would fundamentally change. Some things got better, some things got worse, but all in all, it's all still the same. Related to his upcoming interview with the former U.S. President Donald Trump, or face full toolbox of legal repercussions. I really don't like it when government entities start doing this. But then again, continuing on, Musk is set to interview Trump, and we'll be playing some highlights of it on Monday night, with the conversation airing live on the tech mogul's X platform. Trump made his long-anticipated return to X earlier on Monday, posting a slew of campaign videos after an almost uninterrupted three and a half year hiatus from the platform. In a letter to Musk, European Commissioner for Internal Market Theory, Britton, whatever, douchebag, warned that Brussels will be monitoring the interview closely. Oh, heavens forbid, Brussels. Oh, don't do anything too outrageous, Brussels. Musk must ensure that effective mitigation measures are put in place regarding the application of harmful content in connection with the live interview, Britton wrote, before claiming that Musk had failed to stop the spread of such content during a recent spat of right-wing riots in the UK. We are monitoring the potential risk in the EU associated with the dissemination of content that may incite violence, hate, and racism in conjunction with major political or societal events around the world, including debates, interviews, and context of elections. So, as far as I'm concerned, douchebag can F his own face. And now, let's go ahead and get started with it, because there's been a couple of highlights in regards towards this interview. So let's go ahead and get started with at least the one thing that's going to be spicy. Trump's commentary on Kamala Harris.
Would it be accurate to say that you're supportive of legal immigration, but we also need to shut down illegal immigration, and especially unvetted illegal immigration, because and that's not the same as saying that everyone who's an illegal immigrant is bad. In fact, I think most people who are illegal immigrants are actually good, but you can't tell the difference unless there's a solid vetting of who comes across the border. Does that accurately represent your position?
I say it very simply. They have to come in legally. They have to be checked. Yeah. Because look, Kamala was the border czar. Now she's denying it. Everything that I do, she's saying she was strong on the border. We're going to be strong. Well, she doesn't have to say it. She could close it up right now. They could do things right now. It's horrible. No tax on tips, and all of a sudden she's making a speech and there will be no tax on tips. I said that months ago. And by the way, they had just the opposite. They had not only tax on tips, but they hired 88,000 IRS agents. And many of them were assigned to go get waitresses and caddies and all of this on tips.
Now, hold on. Sometimes my audience gets a little bit out of pocket here. Barnes Homestead, Musk is more African-American than Harris. Hey, everybody. Please try not to be too mean.
They have a policy. They had a policy that they were really going to go after you, and were really harassing people horribly. And then all of a sudden, for politics, she says, you know, she comes out with what I said, which I think is terrible. And I think it's also hitting them very hard. These people are fake. Now they're also saying they did a good job in the border. We had the worst numbers in the history of the world, not of our country. There's never been a country in history that has had a catastrophe like this. We've had, I believe, and I think you believe this too, you know, you hear 12 million, 13. I believe it's over 20 million people came into our country, many coming from jails, from prisons, from mental institutions, or a bigger version of that is insane asylums. And many are.
As far as I'm concerned, all these billionaire sociopaths need to be on a mental asylum on a moon. But nonetheless, I digress. The reason why there is a mass migration crisis in the first place is because of foreign and domestic policies done by both Democratic and Republican presidential administrations. We could start with maybe Ronnie Boy Reagan, but we could go a little bit earlier. But let's start off with Ronnie Boy Reagan, and it continues on for Bush Sr., Bill Clinton, Bush Jr., Barack Obama, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and whoever else will be sitting on the throne. And what do I mean by this? The ridiculous war on drugs, which has led to political and social and economic instability in Central and South America, and which, again, never asked the CIA its role with the cartels on how these drug lords and tyrants and dictators and sanctions led to the mass migration of people coming to this country. I mean, if you're in the middle of a war zone or in a country that is dealing with severe economic sanctions, a rational person is going to think, okay, where can I find greener pastures? This is all by design. It's all by design, a sociopathic design by corporate billionaires, psychopathic politicians, and the prison military industrial complex. Why not? Why not? But let's continue on here. Because, of course, he went on to talk about Joe Biden. Now, look, Trump, listen, it's hilarious when you do insult Joe Biden. I find it funny, but, it's a pot calling the kettle black.
And we did things and said things through this president with a low IQ, very low IQ. He had a low IQ 30 years ago, by the way, but now he might not even have a IQ at all. There's nothing on the board that goes this low. He said things that were so stupid that war had zero chance of happening if I were there. Zero chance. He was saying everything the opposite. And it's so sad because many more people have been killed in Ukraine than you read about. You don't read about how bloody it is and how disastrous. Sure. Hey, look, just in the two armies, you lost 500,000 people. And Ukraine's having a hard time. Ukraine, I don't know if you saw the article recently, and it's true. You don't hear the true story. But if you think about it, Russia's gone, Russia defeated Germany with us, and they defeated Napoleon. They've been around a long time. They're a big fighting force. Yeah. So, and it's very unfair. And Ukraine now doesn't have enough men. They're now using young men and very old men to fight. And we're in a very bad position. And I'm not going to blame exclusively, but I can tell you I could have stopped that. And a smart president could have stopped that. It wouldn't have happened. But we had a man that actually made it more prevalent. It was so bad. The words that he was using.
Yeah, Trump is acting like he wasn't in office when he launched those big, beautiful missiles in Syria. Or he's at instigating conflict with Iran. Or don't forget calling Kim Jong-un Rocket Boy, which is funny. Now, hold on. Don't come after us, dear leader. But nonetheless, I mean, Trump, stop pretending like you weren't in office. Because you didn't. Now, to be clear here, we weren't in any major conflicts, but you sure as hell did not help the situation.
The stupid threats coming from a stupid face that
say that again, Trump. I'm sorry, folks. Just a couple more videos here, but stupid threats from a stupid face. I swear I heard that when I was a little kid in elementary school. I swear I even heard that, oh, you're a stupid face. I mean, you hear kids talking like that, but at least they're a little bit more articulate when they call somebody a stupid face.
The words that he was using, the stupid threats coming from a stupid face that he was using. I said, this guy's going to cause us a war. He's going to cause us. And let me tell you, it can lead to World War III. That can lead to World War III. The Middle East can lead to. We have numerous places that could end up in a World War III right now for no reason whatsoever.
He's not wrong. But man, America, listen, Republican voters, Democrat voters, for a long time, you guys have been running the show. For a long time, you have been hypnotized. And look, to be clear here, I used to vote Democrat too, so I was part of that crowd. But wake up. We are scraping not at the bottom of the barrel, but what's bottom of the dirt underneath the barrel. Harold, I think we're in sewer waters right now. That's how low we are. Is this the best we can do? Democrat voters, Republican voters. Is this the best that you could come up with? I mean, I get it. The system is rigged for the two-party system, but have a little bit of self-respect. Now, I'm not saying Trump ain't wrong about World War III happening. It's just why? Because, when you think about great quotes from great leaders like Napoleon or Julius Caesar or Winston Churchill or anything of that nature, right? You get a little bit more articulation, but then again, I have to wonder, maybe these great quotes were cleaned up, and maybe this is how all the leaders of the world from antiquity up until now have always been talking. Oh, that guy's a stupid face. He's making stupid promises. I mean, I can only imagine Augustus or Julius Caesar or Aurelian just saying, yeah, man, that guy's got a stupid face. He's got stupid problems, and I don't like him. I mean, maybe this is how it's always been. Maybe this is how it's always been, and we just got to go with it. Go with the flow. But it's also important to bring up censorship, too. It's always important to bring up censorship. So, hey, Trump, there was also a wave of censorship under your rule, but they do bring up about the threat from Brussels. So let's hear this.
And, there's a lot of attempts to do censorship and to force censorship, even on Americans from other countries. And I think it's obvious that you're
Snippy McSendit, you wrote F them hoes, Alexander the Great. Snippy, I want you to get up and go on a crusade for the Jade Jasper skull. You're not going to see the White House counselor. That is funny, but I hope that's not real, because if it is, shame on you.
And, there's attempts to do censorship and to force censorship, even on Americans from other countries. And I think it's obvious that you're a believer and an advocate of free speech, because during your first term as president, you were attacked relentlessly every day, often very unfairly with with false attacks. And you didn't try to shut down the media. You didn't try to inhibit their freedom of speech. And I think that says a lot.
Well, first of all, yes, there was censorship under Donald Trump. I know. I was there. So was Daniel. Hard Lens Media, we have dealt with censorship before. We've dealt with the suppression before. We've seen it before. And we saw what happened to a lot of our colleagues, especially when in radio. We talked about how libertarian and progressive and activist pages were being shut down. We saw what happened to first name Alex, last name Jones. We saw what happened to people like Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, all these people. So yes, there was censorship. Elon, listen. I like what you say about free speech, but listen, your head is too up the wazoo of Trump. Okay, to be clear here, censorship was happening under Donald Trump too. Not as bad as it was right now, but it was still happening, my lovelies. It was still going down. This right here is absolute BS. I mean, let's be clear. There was censorship going on here. But I do want to bring up one other thing here as well, so all of you could see this. Again, I still can't get over the fact that stupid face is helping out with stupid problems. My God. But hey, if you want to see brown nosing, and look, to be clear here, what happened on July 13th was a horrific situation. But for Christ's sakes, Musk, listen. If you're flirting with him, go ahead and get him some flowers next time.
Your actions after that assassination attempt were inspiring. You, instead of shying away from things, instead of ducking down, you were pumping your fist in the air and saying, fight, fight, fight. And I think that's, the president of the United States represents America. And I think that is America. That is strength under fire. And so that's, a big, part of the reason why I was excited to endorse you as the president of the United States for having another term here is that was just incredibly inspiring. But I mean, what was it like for you?
Just so y'all know, Elon Musk was kind of sort of associated with the first Trump administration not too long ago, but he didn't stay too long. I wonder why.
Not pleasant. I have to be honest. I said there was blood. I had more blood. I didn't know I didn't know I had that much blood. The doctors later told me that the ear is a place that is a very bloody place if you're going to get hit. But in this case, it was probably the best alternative you could even think about because it went at the right angle. And, you know, it was a hard hit. It was very, I guess you would say surreal, but it wasn't surreal. You know, I was telling somebody you have instances like this or like a lot less than this where you feel it's a surreal situation. And I never felt that way. I knew immediately that it was a bullet. I knew immediately that it was at the ear.
Yeah.
And because it, you know, it hit very hard, but hit the ear. And I also heard people shout, bullets, bullets, you know, get down, because I moved down pretty nicely, pretty quickly. And we had bullets flying right over my head after I went down. So I'm glad I went down. The bigger miracle was that I was looking in the exact direction of the shooter. And so it hit me at an angle that was far less destructive than any other angle. So that was the miracle. That was, for those people that don't believe in God, I think we got to all start.
By the way, just a little side note too, because I've looked at a lot of gun tuber channels, which by the way, they do great content, but you know, a lot of the channels broke apart that AR-15 that was used against Donald Trump. And I want to explain very carefully, what is the AR-15? What is it? What is it? What exactly is that AR-15? Well, it is a civilian version of the M16 family. So the M16 family, M16A2, M16A4, by extent, you know, the M4 carbine, you can put that in there, fires a 5.56 round. And that version of the AR-15 more or less can be described as one of the crappier versions, the lesser tier, low tier, and I'm being generous with that. The fact that that shot that happened to Trump's ear happened at all is a miracle in its own right, because that was a very crappy weapon, and let's just say things could have got a whole lot worse if there was somebody more, I guess, how can you say it, trained up, because I think we literally, this country dodged a bullet on July 13th, but seriously, the brown nosing here and the talk of Trump is a little bit overwhelming.
Thinking about that, you have to, you know, I'm a believer. Now I'm more of a believer, I think, and a lot of people have said that to me. A lot of great people have said that to me, actually. But it was amazing that I happened to be turned just at that perfect angle. And all because I put down a chart on immigration that showed that the numbers were so great. I love that chart even more
maybe
now.
it's a sign. Maybe that's a sign, you know.
Brown nosing at its finest, folks. Brown nosing at its finest. But then again, folks, who no matter what happens on election night, be it Trump or Kamala Harris winning, there's going to be talk about inflation, because the number one issue is the economy. Now, brace for it, folks, because Elon Musk, and this is the final video, because there's only so much even I could stomach. But the point is, I am happy that this did take place, because no, not because Trump is returning back to X. No. That's not it at all. It was the overall knee-jerk reaction from the opposition, from corporate media, from CNN, from MSNBC. And I'll explain a little bit later after this video, because hang on, folks, here's the inflation discussion.
The inflation, it doesn't matter what you make. The inflation is eating you alive. If you're a worker or if you're just a middle-income person, you can't afford. You know, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, people were saving a lot of money. Today, they're using all their money and borrowing money just to live. It's a horrible thing that's happening, and we'll end that quickly.
Well, I think a lot of a lot of people just don't understand where inflation comes from. Inflation comes from government overspending, because the checks never bounce when it's written by the government. So if the government spends far more than it brings in, that increases the money supply. And if the money supply increases faster than the rate of goods and services, that's inflation. So really, we need to have we need to reduce our government spending, and we need to
Reduce it where? Reduce it where? I mean, education's been cut so much. I mean, there's nothing left. Infrastructure's been cut so much that trains are derailing, planes are falling apart, bridges are collapsing, dams are bursting, cats and dogs living together in mass hysteria. So there we go. There's infrastructure. There's education. Healthcare. Puh. Well, hey, negative 0.0% healthcare in this country. Okay, that's good. Okay, what else could we cut? Oh, geez. Ooh, I don't know. Maybe it's protecting our environment. Screw the trees, screw the rivers, right? Let's see. How about, I don't know. Why don't we cut, I guess, in the military industrial complex, We're kind of spending all this money on wars and bombs, maybe if we invest in the people. I know it's a controversial statement. Is that a bridge too far? Type 1-4. No, kid. That's not a bridge too far. And you know what? I could see Trump or anybody else doing that. Finally, our system will actually be restored. You'll see. A type 2, bridge too far, man. That bridge collapsed. They ain't ever going to cut that, baby. I wonder how many 2s will be in the chat.
Examine. I think we need like a government efficiency commission to say like, hey, where are we spending money that's sensible? Where is it not sensible? Right. And we need to live within our means. We're currently adding, I think, $1 trillion to the deficit roughly every 100 days.
That's right.
And the interest payments on the national debt have now exceeded the defense budget. It's on the order of $1 trillion.
It's interest,
and it keeps growing.
And so, yes, they're talking about. So, okay, what can we take away from this? Why is this significant? Why am I talking about it? Yes, it's a billionaire talking to, I guess, a billionaire. That's what Trump likes to call himself. Fine, whatever is what it is. I mean, let's face it. He's spending a pretty penny on those court fees. So there we go. But why is this significant? Because of the manufactured outrage by corporate media, by the EU, by everybody else. I said this before and I'll say it again. Okay. All this concern about Trump, all this hype about Trump doing this, Trump doing that, doing this, everything else in between. It's just the distraction. It's the hype. It's something to keep people, I guess, glued to their seats, especially those that suffer from Trump derangement syndrome, because Trump returning back to X, and again, this isn't the first time because Trump, was let back on by Elon Musk. He restored his account. Fine. Hey, Elon, there's a lot of other good independent media people that need their accounts restored. My good friend, Case Study QB, he was censored by the previous administration. Maybe you can uncensor him. I don't know. Maybe that's a bridge too far. But it's how people reacted to it. People who are not serious, people who are intellectually immature, people who are not capable of making a real coherent thought. At the end of the day, while this interview, fantastic, great, perfect town hall, whatever, it really isn't anything to be concerned about. You learn nothing new. It's just Trump and Elon Musk. All it is the hype of two people speaking. And geez, I remember not too long ago that Tucker Carlson interviewed Putin, woogie boogie boogie. Everybody was scared. Corporate media was building up the hype. This is what corporate media does. Instead of covering stories, they talk about an interview, a conversation between two people. Fine. That happens all the time, corporate media. That's your job to do that. But the reason why I want to share this with all of you is because for the next week, you'll be hearing about this interview. And just a side note, Elon Musk did invite Kamala Harris to a town hall. Now, whether or not she'll do that or not is up in the air. I think theoretically it should be for all candidates. He did that for RFK Jr. He did this for Trump, Kamala, everybody else in between. Go ahead. That same invite should happen. But we're in a system in which corporate media is once again not talking about the issues and the policies, but of people. What are you going to do to help the people? What are you going to do to enlighten the people? And this is all hyped up. Now, I'm glad this town hall took place. I don't like Brussels or the EU threatening censorship because you know what happens when there's more censorship. That means all the platforms are going to get hit. And this is something that Hardlands Media knows too well. Keep your heads on a swivel, folks. This election cycle isn't done yet. But why do I have a feeling that the stupidity and the entertainment are going to be turned up past 11?